The hottest team in Major League Baseball, aka the Boston Red Sox, have a very tough decision to make, and they have to make that decision very, very soon. That decision is, do you buy or do you sell at the trade deadline? The Red Sox just swept the best team in all of baseball, the Atlanta Braves. It sounds great, and it even is great, but we can't forget that this team just lost a series to the Oakland Athletics just a week ago. Yeah, the Oakland Athletics team that is 28-76. So again, this sparks the question, do you buy or do you sell? I believe I have the answer to all of it. And to get the answer, we start back in 2021. A second-year GM, and Chaim Bloom is in a very tight division race between the Tampa Bay Rays, the New York Yankees, and the Toronto Blue Jays, with of course Boston in contention trying to fight. They're trying to fight and make it into the playoffs, and it was practically a dogfight. GM Chaim Bloom had a decision to make, and it was a very, very big one for especially a young GM. Pretty similar to this year in 2023, which is simply, do we buy or do we sell? It was deadline time in 2021, and the Washington Nationals were selling off the entire team. That included closer Brad Hand, who was having a decent year with the losing Nationals team. He had a 3.59 ERA. He was sent over to division rival Toronto Blue Jays, and from that point, it was a reliever spree from the Blue Jays, and clearly were buyers. Not super aggressive, but definitely enough to elevate that bullpen into the next level. Another division rival in the New York Yankees were also super aggressive at deadline time, bringing in slugger Joey Gallo. They also went ahead and acquired future closer Clay Holmes for a literal bag of chips from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Keep in mind, he is now the Yankees closer, so they had a very successful deadline. This left Boston in a spot of, do we sell veterans like Nathan Eovaldi, Xander Bogaerts, and potentially more, or do we buy? Chaim Bloom, who has been known to prioritize his farm system and development over the MLB team, at least as of recent, decided to buy for the Boston Red Sox. An aggressive move to spend on a rental player and trading a young arm from single A and acquiring Kyle Schwarber, an all-star from the National League, and before a hamstring injury had a line of .253 for his batting average, .910 OPS. Boston was in need of a big lefty power hitter. That is what Schwarber was going to be able to really provide quite immediately. He went aggressive by bringing in Schwarber, who, keep in mind, was only a rental player. He was only on a one-year contract, so we weren't even sure if we were going to see any more of him in Boston outside of this 1 year. Considering that Boston was in need of a power hitter, specifically a lefty power hitter, you would think that this was a perfect trade for Boston, trading not too much for what is a phenomenal player. Well, not quite, because the issue is, where's Kyle Schwarber actually going to play? He had one of the worst gloves in the MLB. He, of course, was an outfielder, and he was super, super slow. He just was not able to play in the field successfully really at all. He ended up playing some left field, which again, that defense was brutal, but the majority was spent in the DH spot, which of course is where he thrived, as that is where his bat thrived. And he helped carry that 2021 Red Sox team through the playoffs, getting all the way to the ALCS, where Boston lost the series 4-2 to Houston. While they lost, they still made it very, very far, and in a year where they really didn't expect to contend, nearly ended up going all the way. The move clearly paid off and shocked the world by making it that far, although the next year was a little bit different. Losing Schwarber to the Philadelphia Phillies in free agency, rather than re-signing him, the Red Sox had a hole. It was never really filled either throughout that season. That doesn't mean, though, that GM Chaim Bloom wasn't trying for the Red Sox, as he went ahead and gave a massive 6-year contract to Rocky shortstop Trevor Story, who later moved to second with Boston, and he was also incredible there. His 2022 line was batting .238 with 16 home runs and a .737 OPS. He didn't pay off offensively, but again, the defense was unbeaten. Chaim Bloom also brought in multiple arms, veterans James Paxton, Rich Hill, Matt Strahan, and Michael Wacha. These guys somewhat paid off. Some of them were very, very good, others not so much. By deadline time, this team was not performing. They simply were just not good. They lacked multiple pieces on the offense and on the pitching side of things. So what did Chaim Bloom do? He didn't really buy and he didn't really sell. It was a very weird time for Boston, whether you were a fan or whether you were in the front office, because Xander Bogaerts, the fan favorite, the superstar shortstop, was in the final year of his contract, along with ace Nathan Eovaldi, veteran slugger JD Martinez, veteran catcher Christian Vasquez, and free agent pickup, of course, Michael Wacha. He decided to trade Vasquez to the Astros, but then kept the others. It was a little bit weird. We weren't too sure what was going on. He later traded for veteran first baseman Eric Hosmer, so he was buying, but he was also selling at the same time. It was a need for Boston at first base, but Hosmer simply wasn't very good. Not to mention, he was in a contract year. They went ahead and also brought in catcher Reese McGuire and outfielder Tommy Pham. Heim showed that he didn't have much faith in the 2022 Red Sox. They finished the season going 78-84, missing out on the playoffs. Losing JD Martinez, Nathan Eovaldi, Michael Wacha, Xander Bogaerts, it was a giant fear for Boston. So what did Chaim Bloom do? Did he bring them back or did he let them go? Well, he let his only two consistent starters of 2022 leave, as well as his superstar shortstop Xander Bogaerts. No fan was happy about it at all, but he let them walk, and then heading into 2023, Red Sox fans were worried, mad, but also there were some being optimistic, some that believed in what Chaim Bloom was doing, some that believed in Chaim Bloom's plan to bring the Red Sox back into contention. So what did Chaim Bloom do? He brought in Justin Turner to replace JD Martinez. Many considered it a downgrade, but I myself considered it an upgrade. He also went ahead and brought in outfield depth, bringing in Adam Duvall, who could for sure be a starter, and it was trending to be a starter, not to mention Masataka Yoshida, who he spent very big money on. Along with multiple veteran bullpen arms, this team brought in very productive players compared to the previous year. Not to mention Chris Sale and James Paxton were both going to be returning from injury. Plus, there were multiple young prospects in, of course, young first baseman Tristan Casas, young starting pitcher Brian Bayo, and young center fielder Jarren Duran, who got, of course, a chance the year before, but he just wasn't very good. Well, in 2023, all of these guys have panned out, and this is now a pretty good Red Sox team. Easily one of the best offensive teams in all of baseball, but it lacks the pitching. The pitching is very, very slow for Boston right now. They're 55-47. So we come back to the question, does Boston buy or does Boston sell? I believe Chaim Bloom understands this team is much better than the 2022 Boston Red Sox, of course, from where this team was a year ago today. A team that is not very far off compared to the 2022 team that had so many holes. Of course, Kyle Schwarber paid off in 2021 as a rental player. I think Chaim will invest in this team like how he did in 2021. There's only one difference from this 2021 team to this team. I wouldn't expect it to be a one-year rental for whoever the Boston Red Sox trade for. I would expect him to bring in an arm that has many years of control, as well as a middle infielder with control. He's already expressed interest and has already said to the press that he's very interested in acquiring an arm. There are, of course, many, many options for the infield spot, like a Nolan Gorman or a Paul DeJong, of course, who could play shortstop or second base. But primarily, I do believe that we will be targeting a pitcher. There are a lot of options, right? Dylan Cease from the White Sox, Mitch Keller from the Pittsburgh Pirates, Marcus Stroman from the Chicago Cubs, or even Jordan Montgomery from the Cardinals. In the end, I think Boston will end up making a splash very, very soon at the trade deadline. I'm a Red Sox fan. I'm very much hoping that we buy rather than sell. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought of this video. Of course, it is my first video on the Purely Baseball channel. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Make sure to drop a like if you have not already, and peace out.